There's no question that today's consumer behavior is radically different, even just 2 years ago, right? If you look at how we procure products today, we have mobile technology, which allows us to have information on any specific product in any location. Certainly Amazon has done a lot to change that. I think if you look at where things are going in terms of the retail landscape, most retailers have traditionally offered their products in standard one channel, as we would describe the store. So they only had 2 moments of influence that they had an opportunity to get to the consumer. The point at which they advertised and then the point at which they brought you into their store. Today, as we know, they have multiple opportunities for that moment of influence. First is when the consumer gets exposed to their brand, which can be in any channel, in social media, any type of advertising today, which are multiple formats, as well as the challenge in terms of where is the product available, right? And today, as you know, you can procure product in multiple locations, multiple channels, and obviously find the best possible price. And so we have a number of retailers that are challenged by having consumers walk into the store, having more knowledge and information about the products and services that they're offering than the retailer themselves. So certainly today's retail landscape is dramatically different than it has been. And there are many people that believe the retail format will change more in the next 5 years than it has in the last 50 years. From a JDA perspective, our point of view is that CEOs should consider the following things. First, no question, being able to provide a seamless experience to the consumer is a critical requirement as a retail brand. The consumer is expecting the same behavior, the same response, the same promotion, the same price, the same offers in any channel they shop for that retail brand. But in order to support that effectively, the supply chain element of their business is now a top priority. It's a critical requirement in order to deliver on that consumer's promise. So if you think about an experience that you have with a retailer, they can offer you the best price, the best offer, meaning the assortment choice. They can offer you the best experience. But if they cannot get the product to the consumer, then they will fail. So the supply chain elements, the agility of a supply chain, and the flexibility to be able to provide product at any location, at any time, at any place, with a balance of the cost and investment to do this profitably, we believe is going to be the significant difference that retail CEOs need to understand. We see a large amount of activity today in retail where there's a mass, effort, if you will, to provide that seamless experience. But what are the consequences of that behind the scenes we think are going to be the differentiators between the true successors of retail and the failures of retail. The store, as it has been, again, as I mentioned earlier, the one place where the retailer had an opportunity to influence the consumer. Unfortunately, today, it's only a small fraction of that point. So there's sort of 2 views on how to leverage the asset of a store. The first is, from a supply chain perspective, can you actually have the store become a supply chain asset? So can you actually fulfill out of stores as part of your distribution network? And certainly, we believe there is a place for that. Think of, or imagine if you had a situation where you're overstocked in inventory on a given set of products, and then all of a sudden you start fulfilling out of those stores. Another example is because you're trying to support sort of this omni-channel experience, which we like to refer to as all-channel experience, sometimes the store is the best answer to fulfill. There's a cost associated with that, certainly from a labor perspective, where you now have to have skill sets that are not only providing customer service to the store, but also now providing the capability to pick, pack, and ship out of the back end of the store. So you have to manage your labor cost in terms of that, again, having a need to optimize that labor. But from a consumer experience perspective, it's the one chance that retailers have to have a physical human interaction with that consumer. So retailers should really be thinking about how do you empower your associates to have the most possible current information on that consumer, be prepared to truly give that consumer an experience they cannot get online, they cannot get through mobile. And I think that's going to be a key differentiator of how retailers will leverage their store assets. Well, when we look at how fast change has taken place with the consumer, it's been exponential. And normally when we look historically at how fast change has been adopted in simply technology disruptions, simply looking at just the consumer's change in the brand, the cost of failure is much greater today than it ever has been. If you have one bad experience with a consumer, they will tell 10 people, they will tell 100 people. Social media allows them now to share that experience in exponential ways. So for the retailer, the urgency has to be to ensure that they create this experience, they do it profitably in a much, much shorter time frame because of that fact that the cost of failure is so much greater than it ever has been.